But I can't imagine him sitting there saying, "I'm asking you once again not to cut my head off with a saw." Hello everybody, my name is YujimboXD and welcome to the channel, now with new lighting. This week we return to more modded Hearts of Iron, with another what if scenario. And I know what you're thinking, 2 what if videos in a month? More like, what if I could come up with new ideas? But in my defense, this was a request over in the comment section, after a bit of confusion. So this is Red Worldux, the what if the Soviet Union won the Cold War mod. And this is a mod that I've actually wanted to look at on the channel for a while now, but unfortunately the original mod I was subscribed to hasn't been updated in almost a year. Instead, we have a fan mod of a fan mod, and some Chinese fellow has been secretly updating his own version of Red World. And that's the one we're playing today, because that's the only working version. So, as I said, this is what if the Soviet Union won the Cold War. So this is a much more socialist-led world, but I like how even in a socialist-led dimension, Milosevic is still miserable. And while I was tempted to look at the de facto rulers of this world, the Soviet Union, I think I want to play somebody else who is clearly the big loser in the Cold War. So when we take a look at the map, yeah, as you can tell, the United States did not take losing the Cold War well, and did the thing that mod developers love to do and split the US apart into multiple factions. And while we could look at Rumsfeld and have the South rise again, instead I want to take a look to my home provinces in the North, led by one Noam Chomsky. But I'm not looking at this nation for him, I have bigger plans. So we have Iron Man mode off and historical AI focus on. So let's reunite America the socialist way. Alright, so we have our usual blurb from the devs. This is just telling us what focus trees are finished. There's also some setting stuff that I didn't understand, so I'm not going to read that again. Alright, here we are in the American People's Commonwealth. Couldn't have come up with a snappier title. So while we may have the Red Menace looming over us, I think we're going to keep our focus mostly here in America, and we'll just pray that outside forces don't interfere. So let's take a look at the focus tree. It took some figuring out, but the main gist of at least this version of America is you have the main branch here, which won't unlock until after a certain incident, but after that we'll eventually have some choices in leadership over here. Based on which events we pick, it will unlock one of these trees. But I think we'll just leave it a mystery for now which one I'm going to choose. Let's take a quick look at the research tree. As you can see, it is basically just a reskinned vanilla tech tree, so nothing too complicated there. But we can pull an Al Gore and invent the internet. Good thing we're getting around to doing that in 2010. It looks like our president is addressing the State of the Nation in a New Year's address, and he's trying to relate to the people by broadcasting from his personal yacht club. And it looks like we're discussing building a southern border wall. But we don't need a wall. We want to welcome everyone in so they can join our army because we're low on manpower. Now we're having a bit of an identity crisis, and we're trying to decide what kind of socialist we want to be. But this is America. We don't want your European form of socialism. We may be socialist over here, but I would never want to be called a European socialist. Well, the leader of the Soviet Union just got assassinated, but don't worry, they now have a flag of Lenin to lead them. He's gotten them this far. What could possibly go wrong now? And it looks like the governor of Indiana suddenly disappeared. Maybe she went on a secret vacation. Oh, those governors and their secret vacations. But no, I think we should probably look into this. Maybe it's aliens. That'd be neat. Uh-oh. It looks like she may have been abducted by terrorists. Well, that ended better than I imagined. Looks like she got rescued. Well, we'll probably at least get one cool movie out of it. Well, we need a name for a spy agency, so I will concede 1 point. At least the Europeans are good at picking acronyms, so we'll name our spy agency after one of their own. Yes, citizens are captivated around their television sets. Kathy is back. Everybody loves Kathy. Well, at least the terrorists have given themselves a Marvel supervillain name. We're now looking for the White Phoenix. He's called that because after a day at the beach, he's reborn as a very red-looking creature. Well, it seems like even in this timeline, Princess Diana can't escape her fate. And it seems to me that you lived your life just like a candle in the wind. Well, we won't have to worry about terrorists anymore. Not with Governor Sanders manning our counter-terrorist team. He said kill them all and let Jewish gods sort them out. Look at that smug face. I killed so many terrorists. Oh yeah, and one of the other features it has is an entire history lesson from 1950 to current time, in case you needed to casually brush up on 50 years of history. Yep, we're not the only ones getting punished in multiple timelines. We had a bit of an incident in New York. But hey, on the bright side, that unlocks our focus tree, so now we can start playing the mod proper, and it looks like all the world leaders are sending their thoughts and prayers, except for the leader of Russia, who is actually laughing at us. You have a mustache like that, and you're laughing at us. You look like every high school janitor ever. Well, now we have to decide what to do after the incident. We can investigate, we can reform the law, or we can throw somebody under the bus. And that's what I'm going to do. I'll feel much safer if the governor of New York takes the blame for this. And now the president has to address the nation with an expression like, well, that sucked. But what's this? A new dark horse political candidate has weighed in on the situation. That's right, it's Bill Gates. He saved the world once with his spreadsheets, and now it looks like he's ready to do it again. So we'll just keep an eye on this rising star. And look, Slobodon's finally happy now that he has the sweet release of death. And I guess the governor was on vacation during the happening. Well, perhaps he was better off just staying there. Well, we now know who perpetrated the attack. But don't worry, we got Bernie the Hammer Sanders on it. When he's in charge, no one's left alive. Well, I think America can start healing now. We'll get a new governor for New York, but the real big headline news is we have a new OS. Truly, Bill Gates knows what we need for healing at this time. And it looks like some of our state committee members were caught stealing. But the big question is, where did the money go? Somebody's hiding something. It looks like old Bloodbath Bernie wants to start a war with the trade councils. Looks like Bernie isn't the only one on the warpath. Queen's out for blood too. Looks like she just yeeted out all of Parliament. And China saw how much fun we were having over here and decided to break apart their own nation. Well, we lost one of the best communists of our time. And he actually put his other son in charge, Kim Jong-nam. I'd completely forgotten about this guy until I remembered that he was the heir to the North Korean throne until he embarrassed the family by trying to sneak off to Tokyo Disneyland. Just another fallen comrade to the specter of capitalism. But we all know the great mouse tempts all. Well, after a bit of political maneuvering, shoring up his alliance with the conservatives and the commies, it looks like Bernie's ready to make his play for the Oval Office. I think Mr. Chomsky's days are numbered. And it looks like Sanders created a new socialist party. And don't call it communist, because here in America, we don't actually understand what that means. Well, and with that, Bernie Sanders is practically a shoo-in for the presidency. That is, unless somebody has some compromising information on him that would make him unfit for the presidency. And who would have such dirt but Microsoft man himself? So I think we're going to release the dirt we have on Sanders. The people deserve to know the truth. Truth. A simple billionaire goes to the press with shocking evidence. All the lies, all the stolen money, and all the deaths can be attributed to one man, Bernie Sanders. Now the people of America demand a new leader, someone with the power. Point. And this house of cards will come tumbling down as Sanders flees, and the country descends into madness. People are horrified to learn what their politicians have done, because if you can't trust a politician, then who can you trust? It is time for a new power to rise, and justice to be done. His enemies will know fear when they hear that sound. Well, it looks like someone beat us to it and found Sanders first. And it looks like they decided to use his neck as a lumberjack competition. Oh, but at least they got good footage of it. But I can't imagine him sitting there saying, I'm asking you once again not to cut my head off with a saw. And now it looks like our economy has collapsed. But in actuality, it's only costing us 600 political points. So I guess our economy just runs off magic political points, which I'm okay with as long as they're not actually touching my factories. But there is some good news. The military commanders heard our PowerPoint presentation and liked what we had to say. So it looks like they're on board to give us the presidency. So long live President Bill Gates. He'll make the country as stable as his operating system. Well, that does mean we're going to lose a lot of Bloodbath Bernie's buffs, like support from the workers and the trade councils. But don't worry, I'm just going to knock out a new constitution over the weekend and see if we can force restart the nation. And it looks like a large crowd has gathered to celebrate our new constitution, and we're so overwhelmed with patriotism they even started singing Yankee Doodle. I'm beginning to think the person who created this mod was not American. I think it's more likely that someone would try and throw a beer at his head instead. And it looks like Bill's now consolidating power, and he discards labels like technocrat or oligarch. Instead, he prefers to be called a gatist, or a gatekeeper if you prefer. But a president is only as good as the people he surrounds himself with. So that's why we have Michio Kaku and one of the few celebrities I've actually met, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I put the swag back in science.
Oh, and I guess now we found some tourists brutally hacked to death. Man, our citizens just really love dismembering people. I'm starting to believe it's one of their favorite pastimes. All right, now the sheriff has disappeared, and everyone's assuming he's also been murdered. And now protesters are partially blaming us for it. I can assure you it wasn't me. I'm busy planning a different murder elsewhere. See, it wasn't me. His body was found mangled in a tree. My work is never so sloppy. And it looks like Bill has moved the capital to New York. Poor Philadelphia. You can never remain remain our capital, and now it looks like our mysterious serial killer is sending us letters. And he's even given himself his own moniker, which in my mind, you immediately lose all credibility when you do that. You're not really allowed to give yourself your own nicknames. It looks a little desperate. Now the town's descending into chaos because they're a little bit afraid of getting murdered. Listen, don't worry what the fire warden's going to do to you. Worry about what I'm going to do to you. And it looks like another person was murdered, but the dork couldn't help himself and wrote FW on the wall, really trying to push that nickname. You know, had you been cool about it, I would have just given you a nickname like Butcher Pete. Now we just have to get rid of the leftover Bernie supporters. We all know that moderates are Linux and Apple users, so they're not welcome in Gates America. Well, we had a bunch more murder victims, but it's been an entire month since we had a murder, so he must be gone by now. We're completely safe to let our guards down, and it looks like Gates is addressing the nation. He's pushing technology above all. As long as you buy that technology from a company owned by him. We need to empower the scientists. We need a new operating system. Windows Infinity. It's called that because you pay the subscription service even after you die. Your family inherits your subscription. All right, it is our next to last focus, but this is the one that finally gives us all the war goals to reunite America. And some of the areas are still busy fighting each other, so I don't think they'll even see me coming, unless they look at their borders. Now we have our First Nation justifying against us, and it's the South. Well, you know what they say, everything's bigger in Texas, including your problems, so maybe you want to deal with them first. All right, so we finished our focus that gave us a war goal on the rest of America. And because I'm so confident, I'm going to just declare 2 wars at once. So we'll declare war on the South and on the Great Lakes. South is too busy fighting Texas, and I didn't see the Great Lakes have any troops on their border. As usual, speed is key. Well, that's the Great Lakes down in record time. We're just trying to make up for some lost time here. Well, the South is getting a bit of revenge as they smack down my navy. Well, let's just hope I can beat them before they can set up a naval invasion. Speaking of, I forgot they had Washington, D.C. Well, cleaned up that pocket pretty quickly. There we go, there goes the South. Hey, and look at that, we even bullied Texas into giving us everything. But don't worry, Texas, you're not done giving me land just yet. Well, I like this idea of taking on 2 people at once. So now we're facing off against Governor Rick Perry and Bernie Sanders' old rival Hillary Clinton. This one's for you, Bernie, wherever your headless body is. Oh yeah, I forgot I had their ciphers. I should use those too. I'll put the heart back in Heartland by tearing yours out. And there goes Texas. Oh, they have a little bit of a navy we could steal too. How generous of them. And we're now making our way to the West Coast, where they seem to be still preoccupied fighting each other. But don't worry, I know how to bring an end to this conflict. I just never said it was a peaceful resolution. Go forth and bring me the rest of America. There goes Big Sky Country. There we go, got Tucson, only had to grind down like 20 divisions to do it. Now one final push into California, and that will be the last of the American factions. And there we go, there goes California. Almost done. I say almost because Mexico, I believe you have something of mine. I might be a socialist, Mexico, but I'm not okay with sharing my land with you. So we're gonna do a good old-fashioned Mexican-American war. It's been a few hundred years. Just a casual 500,000 Mexicans dead. There we go, that fixes that border gore issue. You didn't think I'd just let you keep that, did you? Oh wow, and you have a nice sized navy too. I'll take that as well. But with that, that is all of our pieces back together again, plus a Mexico. So with a click of this button, this mod has really long music. Bill, you've done it again. And you even got us a spiffy new flag to go with our new nation. But alright, that is basically the end of the focus tree. So I had a lot of fun with this mod. It was everything I hoped it would be. And I didn't even look at the rest of the world. And there was a lot of other stuff going on. So there's a lot of reason to come back and look at this mod. So I would highly recommend it. I will say the only downside to this mod is it runs kind of slow. But maybe that's just because I've been spoiled by some really fast running mods lately. But as I said earlier, this was a suggestion, so if you have any other mods or games you would like to see, let me know down in the comments below, or you can join our community Discord and drop me a line there. So that is where we'll leave it off for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't yet already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. All right, have a great night, everyone.